Welcome to Get Into the Act. I'm your host, John Berg, with the Sacramento County Office of Education. Get Into the Act is a series of video presentations brought to you by the California Department of Education's Middle and High School Improvement Office. Renowned educators who are passionate about student learning and achievement will share research-based strategies to help middle grades teachers ensure success and close the achievement gap for their students. Each presentation focuses on one or more of the 12 Taking Center Stage Act 2 recommendations. Dr. Kate Kinsella is currently an adjunct faculty member in secondary education at San Francisco State University and provides consultancy nationally to school districts regarding instruction of adolescent English learners. As a teacher-educator, she has maintained active involvement in 4 through 12 classrooms by regularly coaching and co-teaching while also teaching academic literacy skills to high school English learners in San Francisco State University's Step to College program. Dr. Kinsella is co-author of Scholastic's 2006 Read 180 Literacy Intervention Program and is the 2008 author of the companion 4 through 12 ELD curricula to Read 180, the L Book. She is also the author of Pearson's Reading in the Content Areas, Strategies for Reading Success. A former Fulbright lecturer in teaching ESL, Dr. Kinsella has received numerous awards, including the Marcus Foster Memorial Reading Award and in 2005, the California Department of Education's Award of Excellence for her contributions to improving the education of immigrant youth. This is the third session of a 4-part series of videos by Dr. Kate Kinsella. In this video segment, Dr. Kinsella will be focusing on how to develop explicit language across the curriculum.
Hello. Welcome to Get Into the Act. I'm Kate Kinsella, and this is the third in a 4-part series designed to help you as colleagues more fully implement several of the key recommendations in Taking Center Stage Act 2. In this particular session, we're going to be addressing a very important topic, and that is effective task setup and implementation in mixed ability middle grades classrooms. And several of the key Taking Center Stage Act 2 recommendations are addressed in this session. We'll look to Chapter 1 and the need for rigor across the curriculum, and we'll see how it is both a science and an art to really set up a rigorous task so every youth in a mixed ability classroom can really comprehend the task components and fully engage in this task. We'll look at key recommendations for Chapter 2, addressing instruction and assessment and intervention techniques to address the needs for mixed ability students to really be differentiating and accommodating students with a variety of language and literacy needs in our classrooms. And finally, in Chapter 4, the importance of relevance is addressed, and in this session we're going to see how our tasks need to be carefully orchestrated and really connected. Made very clear to them why I'm engaging in this and what this means to me. So let's get started. And in our session objectives, I hope that as you leave, together with colleagues, you'll embark upon reflecting on how currently you are setting up tasks in your classrooms to engage all students. And something as cost-free as just setting up a task that you've carefully designed so that all students can really fully participate in that task and successfully accomplish the task is something that I often see sorely neglected. So I'm hoping that you'll all be able to reflect on your current teaching practices and have some food for thought. We're going to observe strategies in a video segment with myself actually working with a 6th grade classroom and setting up a discussion task to increase the odds that every single one of the students feels prepared with content and language tools to be able to share not only with a partner but potentially with the unified class, and to be able to share orally and then subsequently in writing. We're also going to see steps in effectively setting up and look at how meticulously we need to adhere to both the conceptual demands and the linguistic demands of a task to make sure that every student feels confident and up to the task. Now, I'll remind you of the definition of engagement I offered in our first session, because we're going to see me working very hard to make sure that every student really knows what they need to do in this task. And I'll remind you that engagement doesn't mean just designing an entertaining or interesting task. It means really having strong and viable evidence checks that every student is responding to that task. So on a regular basis, through walkthroughs in classroom and coaching endeavors, I see teachers who put a lot of time into developing a task or who are drawing a well-developed task out of their curricula, but do a very slipshod job in actually setting up the tasks. So even though the task is potentially both intriguing and potentially thought-provoking and powerful, many students don't have access because they're not really sure what to do, so they subsequently cannot engage. 3 important lesson planning questions we're going to be asking are, what is the language and literacy they'll need to accomplish this task? How am I going to really set it up and interrupt my instruction as I'm setting it up to get responses for them? And what will be my evidence checks that they really know what to do on this task and that they're successfully implementing it? As we observe our video clips, we'll be looking for this. Now, I'm going to be showing a clip of myself working with a mixed ability class of 6th graders, and I want you to really be looking for how hard I'm working to really set it up clearly, to make sure they comprehend exactly what they need to do, and to make sure that I'm receiving feedback for them, both verbally and non-verbally, before I really set them off to embark upon the task. So here we go. I'd like you to take note of some of these verbal and non-verbal evidence checks that I elicit from the students. Thank you. I'm really impressed by how thoughtful your ideas were and how much academic language I heard in the room. Now we're going to finish up by sharing an idea. And often in discussion, we have you share your own idea, but today with the Give One, Get One, I'd like to ask you to share an idea you got from a classmate, since you spent so much time learning from each other. And in casual conversation, I might say, oh, Ruth said he's going on the field trip. Or Jack told me that he might be a little late for the field trip because he has an appointment. But since we're not just having a casual conversation, we're going to use an expression according to that is used in academic writing and in academic speaking. When you're reading your history book, when you're reading a science book, you might read according to scientists at NASA or according to the President of the United States, and it means it's that person's idea. So you're going to share your idea using this expression, and let's practice. My idea, I took Perla's idea, and let's all practice saying according to with Perla. And according to Perla, everyone? According to Perla. One more time. According to Perla. Excellent. And so that means Perla's got a very important idea. So here we go. According to Perla, child workers don't get to play and have fun. Right? I'd like you to look at your list of ideas you got from your classmates and put a check next to the one you're really interested in sharing, an idea that you got from one of your classmates. So put a little check mark right here, and mine is right next to Perla's because that's the idea I wanted to share, all right? So put a little check next to the idea you're thinking about sharing. Now, right here in this line, let's all put your pencil right at the final part that says report. Put our pencils down here. Right now, write the name of the person and put according to Sandra, according to Alberto, according to Reggie. Write it and then just copy the sentence you got from your partner. So you're going to write according to and their name and then a comma and the rest of the sentence. Read it over a couple times. Read it over a couple times. Put your finger on and read it, practicing a couple times. Okay. If you finish writing your sentence, I want you to read it over a couple times because in a moment you're going to have an opportunity to share your idea. Let's take a look up here for our last step. Now you're going to get a chance to report the ideas you got from your classmates. And I'm going to begin by sharing my idea that I got from Perla. And this is how it'll work. Since I'm sharing my idea I got from Perla, that means Perla will share next. And let's pretend that she shared an idea that she got from Ariel. That means Ariel goes next. And if Ariel shares an idea he got from Rue, Rue would go next. So I'll share my idea, and if you hear your name and your idea being shared, get ready to share. After I've done, just wait a moment and then share your idea. So here we go. I'll go first. According to Perla, child workers don't get to play and have fun. Perla?
According to Lydia, child workers don't get paid.
According to Oksana, kids got their childhoods taken away.
Thank you. Okay. Oksana?
According to Rue, kids do jobs like stitching soccer ball.
According to Jack, kids have to carry bricks.
Okay, beautiful. And since Rue already had a chance to share, I'm nominating Ariel to share his idea.
According to Merlin, kids lost their childhoods. According to Sandra, children don't really get paid.
Reggie, how about if you continue?
According to Jocelyn, kids work 16 hours for little pay.
According to Merle, children around the world lost their childhoods.
All right, beautiful. I'm so impressed that we've learned a lot together about child labor, and now we're going to take these ideas and use what we know to help us better understand the readings, and we're going to learn some new words, some academic words that we'll be seeing in the reading. Thank you. Now, in this task, which was part of a unit on child labor, students had an opportunity to view a video, and you no doubt picked up in their comments that they were discussing content they learned from the video and anything else they could draw from their prior knowledge and experiences about the workshop topic and the kind of jobs that children in child labor were subjected to, or anything else they knew around that critical topic. And to get them ready to discuss, I tried to meticulously set it up by first directing their attention to my written task. And I know in a mixed ability group, unless every single student has their finger or pencil right on the task, or I have them directly riveted looking at the overhead projector, I know that having it entrusted just to their auditory processing is going to be very unreliable. So I want to have an evidence check that they're looking at the task as I read the task and address the critical components. So I got them to look at the task on the overhead projector, then got them to look at the comparable task right in their curricula. I also established the purpose of the task, that we were going to really be interacting and sharing what we had learned from these workshop activities that we had engaged in to build prior knowledge and watching this video. And I carefully clarified every task component, what they were going to need to do to both write down their statement, to share it with a partner, and to get ready to share something they learned from a partner. I also took the time to explain potentially unfamiliar vocabulary. Before I set them off to share an idea they got from a partner, I modeled for them how to use the novel expression according to, because in previous classes we'd learned how to cite a partner's idea by using the expressions "my partner pointed out" or "my partner indicated that," but in this lesson we were practicing a new reporting or citation expression, according to my partner or according to Jesse, language that they're likely to encounter in core curricula and that's needed for academic writing. So I wanted to model using an idea from a partner, and one of the students I interacted with, I wrote it for them, directed their attention to how I wrote it, practice saying it, practice interacting with another student so that they could see exactly how they were going to use that content. I provided a verbal response frame, not as a participation straitjacket, but to increase the odds that they used an academically competent response and really orchestrating for them how they were going to use this new expression. I checked for understanding by monitoring as they were writing, overhearing their partner interactions, and really specifying a time frame within which and what they specifically needed to do. They needed to get a certain amount of ideas from their partner and really be prepared to share one key idea. You'll no doubt note that I got them really looking at their list of ideas and selecting one that they were going to share in the event that they were called upon in our class discussion. I also mentioned to them that if you get done, writing one idea, you prepare to report a second idea and to read over the idea that you've written for our subsequent class discussion. Again, I was monitoring their independent work and providing assistance, though not interrupting their writing. I'm frequently in classrooms feeling the angst of students as teachers poorly set up a task, then walk around distributing sort of taser gun damage control instructions as the kids are writing or thinking, and the teacher's yelling out, guys, remember you need to double space, or I forgot to mention, be sure to use our citation verbs. And each time it's a jolt to the students, so it interrupts and provides cognitive clutter and interrupts their process. So I'm quietly monitoring and tried to attend to really setting it up clearly in the first place. As I debriefed, students had an opportunity to interact with a range of partners before they came back to their seats, and I had a real clear schema for how I was going to have students share, knowing that in a mixed ability classroom, if I had just thrown the question out to a group of middle school students who'd like to share, that puts inordinate pressure on middle school youths who are focused on not standing out, either feeling exceptional in any direction. So putting them out of their misery, I used a very structured and calibrated orchestration device to get everyone to potentially respond by using sort of a popcorn technique, by starting and sharing first and having the students whose idea I shared be the next to respond. So students were listening actively to hear if their name was shared, and each student in the class actually had an opportunity to share an idea they got from a partner. So I didn't rely just on the cadre of confident and sort of professional participants, but every student in that class needed active academic practice using our key content and using our focal vocabulary. I also took a moment to synthesize what we learned and made connections to core content, knowing that in previous experiences, many younger learners, middle school students, English language learners, and struggling readers I've served often don't see the connection between group activities or partnering activities. They see it as just downtime to socialize in the classroom, and I want to make it absolutely clear to them that this activity, the purpose of it, and how it's intimately related to our subsequent lesson task, in this case, embarking upon a challenging reading assignment. So at this juncture, I felt confident that I not only had built some prior knowledge on the topic via discussion and via our vibrant video that we had witnessed, but I had actually had evidence checks of their comprehension with their verbal testimonies, sharing with partners, and also their written work. I hope it's apparent through this video footage and my comments and previous video clips that we've examined in this series that effective task setup and facilitation, whether you're teaching a critical new word, whether you're having students discuss reading content or getting ready for a writing assignment, that effectively setting up a task and facilitating it is a cost-free but absolutely essential instructional component of responsive pedagogy in middle grades classrooms. Without clear guidance on what they're supposed to be doing, high expectations and accountability for implementation and clear modeling from the teacher, moving from I'll do it, now we'll do it, to now you're on your own to practice with a partner or independently do this, students cannot be expected to embark upon a task with developmental confidence and competence. I hope that as colleagues, you'll get together after this segment and reflect on this session as well as other sessions and look at how you can begin to really clearly be setting up every task, whether it's a lesson lab, whether it's a reading task, whether you're getting students ready for vocabulary instruction, or whether you're having students justify why they solved a problem a particular way. That every task needs to have a clear verbal instructions, both modeled and written, that we need clear modeling from the teacher and time for practice with a partner. I hope you have some practical ideas and that you'll take advantage of some of the resources that I provided on the Taking Center Stage Act 2 web portal. You'll find some very practical resources with an observation tool on structured task design and implementation, and other practical resources to support you in these efforts. I hope you'll get together as colleagues and implement. And I thank you for the time, and get out there and get into the act.
You've just seen Dr. Kate Kinsella discuss how to develop explicit language across the curriculum. To find more information and additional resources on this and related topics, go to pubs.cde.ca.gov TCS2. S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S.